What's up, everyone? My name is Nelson, coming to you from the top of Chicago, Illinois, and you are watching the Game Flow Report. Thank you so much for joining us today. Week 16 had three potential Game of the Year candidates, and we're going to talk about all three. But before we do, make sure you like and subscribe, comment down below on which was your favorite game of Week 16. And we're going to start with the 49ers versus the Colts. Brock Purdy. You would not have guessed that he had a toe turf injury earlier on in the season. He came back a few weeks ago, and he's been balling ever since. 25 of 34, 295 yards, 5 touchdowns to 4 different receivers, 1 interception. He was so accurate this game. You love to see it. Christian McCaffrey, 21 carries for 117 yards. That offense goes through Christian McCaffrey. George Kittle had himself a game but had to leave early for an injury. 7 catches for 115 and 1 TD. And the Colts asking a 44-year-old Phillip Rivers to save their season. And he still came to play. 23 of 35, 277, 2 touchdowns, and 1 costly pick six. The 49ers win handedly, 27-48. The Colts, how far they have fallen. Being the number 1 AFC seed not long ago, now dropping to outside the playoff bubble. They have a lot to look forward to in the offseason, but the 49ers, they could be the home field favorite for the NFC Conference Championship if they continue to play like this. We look forward to see how they go against the Bears next week. Moving on to the other NFC matchup, the Rams versus the Seahawks. Los Angeles comes into this game as the number 1 seed in the conference and the division. These two teams played against each other back in November to see who got the top spot. And Sam Darnold struggled against the Rams defense, throwing 4 interceptions, but he came back and showed that he can still play. This game, he was 22 of 34, 270, 2 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. That's 6 interceptions against the Rams defense in 2 games. Seattle's Kenneth Walker III was involved early in this game. He had 11 carries for 100 yards and a touchdown. However, the Rams have the leading MVP candidate, Sam Darnold, and he showed us why. He was 29 of 49, 457 yards, 3 touchdowns. Puka Nacua leading all receivers this year. He had 12 catches for 225 yards, a monster game. Terrence Ferguson caught that other touchdown, and it looked like the Rams were going to pull off and win this game early, but everything flipped when they were up 30-14 in the fourth quarter. They're punting to Rashid Shaheed, and he takes it 43 yards to the house. Momentum swinger. It's Sam Darnold's time to come back and shine. Jackson Smith and then Jigba finally shows up later on in the game after having a quiet first half. He had 8 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. Seattle scores in overtime, and one of the most bizarre things that I have ever seen. They go for 2 points after the Rams have scored. Sam Darnold accidentally throws a lateral pass. It falls incomplete. No one knows what's going on. Zach Charbonnet picks up the ball unknowingly, knowing that it was a lateral. He's in the end zone. The refs look at it. It is a good 2-point conversion. The Seahawks are now the new number 1 division leaders and the number 1 seed in the conference. It was an absolute chaotic scene, but we love to see the comeback from Sam Darnold. The Seahawks are now leading the NFC, and that west side is going crazy right now. We'll see who comes out of the NFC West in a couple weeks. Now it's time for our flow through segment where we flow through some of the games that have little playoff implications, but I want to let you know my quick thoughts, starting with the Eagles versus the Commanders. The Eagles are looking for their 10th win, and they're the only team in the division who is making the playoffs. Jaden Daniels is done for the season. Marcus Mariota gets a start. He was 7 of 14 for 95 yards before leaving the game with an injury. Josh Johnson came in and did worse. The Eagles took advantage of the moment. Jalen Hurts was 22 of 30, 185 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had that chemistry with A.J. Brown this game, who had 9 catches for 95 yards. And Saquon Barkley, as he always does against the Commanders, balled out. 21 carries for 132 yards and a touchdown. The only drama that came out of this game was the third quarter brawl. Other than that, the Eagles cruise past the Commanders 29-18 and lock up their 10th win, and now they're sitting at the 3 seed in the NFC Conference. Moving on to the Chargers versus the Cowboys. The Chargers go into Dallas and handle their thing. Justin Herbert looked a lot more comfortable with that cast around his non-throwing arm. He was 23 of 29, 300 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing TD. The Dallas defense, they didn't show up today. The Chargers win this one 34-17, and honestly, if I'm Dak Prescott, even though next year my cap hit is the largest, I'm still going to ask for more money. It wouldn't surprise me if Jerry Jones franchise tags George Pickens. Just a clown show in the offseason for us to talk about for the Cowboys. Moving on to another clown show, the Vikings versus the Giants. 2 jokes of a team. J.J. McCarthy was 9 of 14, 108 yards, 1 interception, and get this, he leaves the game with an injury. Jackson Dart, he had an even worse game, the worst game of his rookie season, 7 of 13 for 33 yards. Vikings somehow survive, 16-13, 2 teams with potential, but a lot to fix in the offseason. Moving on to the Bengals versus the Dolphins. Miami started rookie QB Quinn Ewers, and he had a rough one today, 20 of 30 for 260 and 2 interceptions. Finally, we get to see Joe Burrow ball out. He was 25 of 32, 309 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had that chemistry that we were looking forward to with Jamar Chase. He had 9 catches for 109 yards. T. Higgins even caught 1 for a TD. And the Bengals win 45-21. Stay tuned for my separate video on the Miami Dolphins and Tua. Where did it go wrong and where could Tua land next season? Now, moving on to the other teams. Jets versus the Saints. The Jets throw Brady Cook out there, and he was 22 of 35 for 188 yards and 1 interception, just like a Jets QB does it best. Justin Fields is done for the season. You can bet your bottom dollar that he is leaving the Jets. I don't know which team will pick him up. That's a separate video as well. Tyler Shook, shocking everyone as a potential rookie QB of the season. He had 32 of 49 for 308 yards, 1 touchdown. He had chemistry today with Chris Olave, who had the best game of his season. 10 catches for 148 yards, 2 touchdowns. He received 1 touchdown from Tyler Shook and 1 touchdown from Taysom Hill, who I was surprised is still on the Saints. They win this one 29-9. Falcons versus the Cardinals, 2 teams planning on next season. Kirk Cousins, a $40 million cap hit backup. 21 of 35, 197 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Arizona, they were ugly today. Jacoby Brissett, 16 of 31, 203 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. Marvin Harrison Jr., 1 catch for 14 yards. There's change coming from both sides of the field. The Falcons win this one 26-19. Arizona has a lot to do this offseason. And finally, moving on to the Chiefs versus the Titans. Kansas City's first game without Mahomes. Gardner Minshew starts and then gets hurt. His season is over. 3rd string QB Chris Oladokun finishes the game. Cam Ward takes advantage of the moment. 21 of 28, 288 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard, he had 21 carries for 102 yards. Titans win this one 26-9. And I'm sorry, I got one more game to cover. The Bucks versus the Panthers. The battle for the NFC South. Both teams sitting at 7-7. First of the 2 meetings before the end of the season. Bryce Young was solid. 21 of 32, 191. 2 touchdowns. Baker Mayfield, after having a hot start this season, he was 18 of 26, 145, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Panthers win, and they are now at the top of the NFC South. But I don't think it matters. Both of these teams aren't going to make it very far in the playoffs if they get in. Now, these next 3 games did give me some concern, and I'll tell you why, starting with the Patriots versus the Ravens. The Ravens needed to win this game in order to have any shot of making the playoffs, but Lamar Jackson, he goes down with a back injury. So Tyler Huntley comes in. Derrick Henry, they needed him to do his thing, and for the most part, he did. He was 18 carries for 128 yards, 2 TDs. However, he did have a fumble early on this game, and you can feel the momentum drain the Ravens offense. If the Patriots can do anything, they take advantage of those moments. Drake May playing like an MVP candidate, 31 of 44, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns. The Ravens did look like they could come back and win, but Zay Flowers fumbles the ball in the fourth quarter and the Patriots jump on it and ice it. Zay Flowers has more fumbles than touchdowns this season. I don't understand what the fumbling problem is for the Ravens, but it is a huge concern. Their playoff hopes slip away. The Patriots win this one 28-24. My concern, who are they going to get rid of first, John Harbaugh or Lamar Jackson? Now, if you ask me, I think that they would get rid of John Harbaugh first, but the offense goes as far as Lamar Jackson can take him. Lamar Jackson, he is a mobile quarterback but for how long? He hasn't looked the same since he came back from that hamstring injury. We look forward to see how he does after his full recovery this offseason, but if Lamar Jackson doesn't show any more promise, if he can't get him to the promised land, they will get rid of him. And there are rumors that they will trade him to the Miami Dolphins. I'm not sure how true that is. However, it is interesting to see which voices are speaking up on this matter. Moving on to the Browns versus the Bills. The Bills should have taken advantage of this moment right here, adding on to their win column. On paper, this looks like a clear victory at the 10-win Bills against the 3-win Browns. And yet it didn't look like that. Josh Allen didn't play like the MVP that he is. 12-19 for 130 yards, 0 passing touchdowns, only 17 yards rushing. They leaned on James Cook, who's probably the best running back in the league right now. He had 16 carries for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns. They were productive the first half. In the second half, they only scored 3 points. In the fourth quarter, they scored 0 points. That's unacceptable for a Super Bowl contender. The Browns, they were within striking distance, and Shedeur Sanders didn't exactly poop the bed. He was 20-29, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. The scary part is that the Browns were super close to winning this game. Buffalo does escape and win 23-20. However, we do need to expect more. There's no Kansas City in their way this time. There's no Lamar Jackson in their way this time. Okay, the Browns have a key opportunity here to win the Super Bowl, and if they don't, I do predict that they will get rid of Sean McDermott. They need to make some serious change because Josh Allen can only do this for so long. Moving on to the Texans versus the Raiders, another team that's hot that barely escapes with the win. This matchup does feel familiar, same as the Browns versus the Bills. C.J. Stroud played okay. He was 23-35, 187 yards, 1 touchdown. Nothing flashy, but the biggest concern was the Houston's defense. After shutting out the Ravens in the first quarter, the Texans allowed the Las Vegas Raiders to score in every single quarter. That shouldn't happen, especially from an offense led with Geno Smith. He was 16-23 for 201 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. Ashton Genty went off on the Houston Texans defense, 24 carries for 128 yards, 1 touchdown. He controlled the tempo. Houston did survive 23-21, but this is alarming. Another team who should win this one easily. And much like the Panthers on the other side, Houston does not look like a team that could go far if they go against either the Broncos, the Jaguars, or the Chargers. They need to tighten up because there are some serious heavy hitters in the AFC that are looking to get a nice warm-up game before the AFC Conference Championship. Now, let's talk about these next teams who are fighting for that top seed, starting with the Broncos versus the Jaguars. Denver comes into this game as the number 1 seed in their division, in their conference, and riding an 11-game win streak. Bo Nix, he was 28-47 for 352 yards, 1 touchdown, but the Broncos offense stalled when it mattered most in the fourth quarter, only managing 3 points. Trevor Lawrence, he's finally playing like the number 1 draft pick that I hope that he would play like. He was 23 at 36, 279 yards, 3 passing touchdowns, 20 yards rushing, and 1 rushing touchdown. He hit Washington, Strange, and ETN all for a touchdown. The Jaguars never let the Denver's defense settle in. They win 34-20. And the Jaguars show the entire AFC that they mean business. Now, I don't think this means much for Denver. This may have been just a minor hiccup. However, not scoring any points in the fourth quarter, that's not going to jive well for them if they want to have a Super Bowl run. Denver still has the number 1 seed in the conference and in the division just based off of the wins alone. However, it is a minor setback for them, and we'll see if it comes back to bite them later on down the road. Now, my game of the week, I'm talking the Bears versus the Packers. The second time that these teams played against each other this season, and it was everything that we were looking forward to seeing. The game flipped early for Jordan Love when he got absolutely smoked by Austin Booker in the second quarter. Malik Willis comes and steps in, and he actually balled out. He was 9 for 11, 121 yards, 1 touchdown. Not easy to come into Chicago in that type of environment and play well. Props to Willis. However, Green Bay's defense also came out strong. They shut out the Bears in the first half, only allowing 3 points in the third quarter. However, Chicago did draft this guy named Caleb Iceman Williams, and he showed that he is not someone to be messing with, especially in the cold weather. They scored 13 unanswered points in the fourth quarter, forcing overtime in Soldier Field. The crowd is going crazy. Bears possession. Caleb Williams drops back, scrambles, throws off platform from their own 45-yard line into DJ Moore's hands. It was a dime. Soldier Field erupts. Bears win. They are now kings of the NFC North. They are currently sitting at the 2nd seed behind the Seahawks. And man, oh man, the Chicago Bears have found their coach, have found their quarterback for the next 10 plus years. They are building the momentum that they need in order to make a serious playoff contention run. I cannot wait to see if the NFC runs through Soldier Field right next to Lake Michigan. It's going to be a sight to see, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching the Game Flow Report. Here are my final thoughts on some of the things that I am looking forward to next week and moving forward towards the playoff season. Are the Bills an actual contender? Can they win despite not having Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson in their way? How far can the Bucks and the Panthers really go? Are they just a one-and-done team, or are they just practice for some lucky NFC team who are going to host them this playoff season? With Jacksonville's win, are they a series contender as well? Can they beat the Broncos, the Chargers, or even the Houston Texans? And the last thing I want to say is the Bears. People are asking if they're serious. Damn right they're serious. Damn right. My name is Nelson. You just watched the Game Flow Report. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Comment down below what was your favorite moment of Week 16 and who's going to make a playoff run this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.